far reaches of the Arctic tundra, where snow blankets the land for most of the year and temperatures plunge far below freezing, life follows a rhythm older than memory. Here in the vast white silence of the north, nomadic reindeer herders continue to raise their children with traditions that seem almost mythic to the modern world. Among these resilient people, the children grow not only strong but wise, weathered by wind and cold, taught by fire and instinct. This is a story of a childhood forged in frost, where the young eat raw meat to survive, and 6-year-olds learn to hunt, track, and capture the very animals that sustain their families. The North does not forgive softness. It demands courage from the moment a child can walk. In many of the reindeer herding families of Siberia and the northern stretches of Scandinavia, children are not sheltered from hardship. They are shaped by it. At an age when many Western children are just beginning school, these Arctic youths are already proficient in life-saving skills. By 6, they are sent out into the snow with lasso in hand, trained to catch reindeer with precision, stealth, and patience. Under the watchful eyes of elders, they practice throwing the rope, reading the wind, interpreting hoof prints in the snow. It is a rite of passage, but also a necessity. In these lands, every capable hand matters. Meals are simple, nourishing, and dictated by what the land provides. One of the most astonishing and often misunderstood realities of their diet is the consumption of raw meat. To outsiders, the idea that small children eat uncooked flesh may seem shocking, even primitive. But to the nomads of the north, this practice is rooted in generations of knowledge. Raw reindeer meat, often eaten within minutes of a fresh kill, is a vital source of nutrients, especially vitamin C, which is scarce in the tundra. Cooked meat would destroy some of these essential vitamins. Children are introduced to it early, often starting with thin slivers of raw liver or fat, prized not only for their taste, but their ability to keep the body warm and energized. There are no lunchboxes in this life, no microwaves or refrigerators, just the ancient bond between the people and the herds. Reindeer are at the center of everything. They provide transportation, food, clothing, and even shelter. Children grow up watching their parents slaughter animals with reverence, using every part of the body: the sinew for thread, the bones for tools, the hide for boots and tents. These lessons are not taught in classrooms. They are passed on beside fires, during hunts, or while huddled in reindeer hide tents during blizzards. By observing, imitating, and eventually performing these tasks themselves, children absorb the rhythm of life in the Arctic not as something extraordinary, but simply as the way things are. In these nomadic camps, play and work are one. While children elsewhere might play with plastic toys, here they mimic their parents with small handcrafted lassos, wooden sleds, and tiny reindeer figurines carved from bone. These aren't just toys. They are tools of learning. They prepare the children for the moment they take on real responsibilities. By the time they are 7 or 8, many of them can drive a sled, butcher an animal, and help navigate migration routes through snowstorms. These are not romanticized customs kept alive for cultural preservation. They are skills vital to the survival of families that often live hundreds of kilometers from the nearest village. The cold is relentless, but the human spirit here burns just as strong. Clothing is handmade from reindeer hide, layered and stitched to insulate against wind and ice. Even the youngest children know how to dress for -40 degrees. A child's boots, called torbasa, are filled with dried grass for insulation. They learn to read the snow, to feel the wind shift, to sense when a storm is coming. Their education is the land itself. There are no desks or whiteboards, but there is a mastery of knowledge that could not be taught anywhere else. The elders say that a child who listens to the snow will never get lost. Family life is close-knit, bound together by the harshness of the environment and the intimacy of the tents. Grandparents, parents, and children sleep side by side, sharing warmth and stories. Meals are often communal, shared around a fire that crackles with birch or driftwood. Children are not coddled, but they are deeply loved. Their independence is a sign of trust, not abandonment. Even toddlers are expected to contribute, fetching small items, helping clean hides, or watching over younger siblings. The line between childhood and adulthood is thin here, not rushed, but naturally blurred by the demands of daily life. Religious traditions and folklore are deeply woven into the rhythms of survival. Children grow up hearing stories about the spirits of the forest and sky, tales passed down for generations. Some families still practice elements of shamanism, and rituals involving reindeer bones or smoke cleansing are sometimes observed. These practices give children a sense of belonging, a feeling that their life is part of something greater, something ancient and sacred. In winter, when the sun barely touches the horizon, life becomes quieter but no less intense. Days are spent repairing tools, mending clothes, and preparing for the next migration. At night, under the long Arctic darkness, children fall asleep to the sound of the wind outside the tent, dreaming of reindeer paths and flickering auroras. They don't dream of cities or screens. Their world is complete in the snow and stars, the herds and hearth. To many on the outside, this life may seem impossibly difficult. But to those who live it, and especially to the children who know other way, it is rich with purpose, connection, and pride. They do not pity themselves, nor do they seek sympathy. They grow up with a deep understanding of the land and an instinctive resilience. They learn to be calm in danger, patient in hunger, and joyful in silence. Their laughter echoes across the tundra, proof that even in the most unforgiving places on Earth, childhood can still be full of wonder. This is not a dying way of life. Though pressures from modernization, climate change, and external influences mount, the culture persists, carried forward in the determined footsteps of children who can catch reindeer before they can read, and who learn survival not from books, but from the snow beneath their boots. In a world speeding toward convenience, their quiet competence offers a reminder. Strength, wisdom, and joy can still be born from simplicity, tradition, and the cold breath of the north.
N 66 градусов.
11 минут.
11 минут.
25,5 секунды.
Бегут охотники за?
Зайцем.
Заяц спрятался за?
Дерево.
А возле дерева стоял мальчик. Охотники спросили его. Не пробегал с длинными ушами? И хвостик. Давай еще одну нарисую и все.
Я хочу, чтобы дети находились возле меня, чтобы мне было спокойнее. Как я могу отдать своего сына или дочку вот туда, в интернат? Это же я буду ночами не спать.